So YouTube, man, we got Jordan Patterson. Stop playing with yourself. Let's get right into it.
Give to someone looking to quit porn, I would say it isn't that you're trying to quit porn. It's not the right way to think about it. The right way to think about it is that you're trying to figure out how to have a better life.
And when he mean by stop playing with yourself, yes, stop watching porn and being your dang junk all night. You wake up, go to school, or wake up, go do what you gotta do, and you go and you have that thought throughout your head. I wanna go play with myself. I gotta go beat my meat. I gotta go beat my meat till I go to sleep. Like, just stop it, bro. Stop it. That's why you probably look at every girl like you not turned on. Because you be satisfying yourself. It's kinda gay. Like, in a way now. You always pleasing yourself. You is pleasing yourself. You manipulating yourself. You self-sabotaging yourself. Crazy.
In today's video, Jordan Peterson talks about porn, why it is bad for you, and how to quit it. Stick around to the end for Jordan's non-mainstream practical advice to quit porn for good. This one's life-changing, so pay attention.
There might be codicils to that, freedom of expression, some potential educational utility, the pleasure that's a consequence of sexual utilization of pornographic material. But I would still say, seeing all that it's not a net social good. It doesn't do the people who produce it or who consume it any good. And I don't believe that anyone feels like a better human being after utilizing pornography for sexual gratification. Now, you might say, well, that's because they've been shamed about sex since they're born, and that's a consequence of our crooked culture. And, in a utopian world, we wouldn't have that shame, and it's way more complicated than that. I read something in one of the YouTube comments in my video.
Hey, I never realized, look now, because I've been a victim to like long ass time ago. But when you beat your meat, after the fact, you be like, what the fuck? Like, what was I doing? I wasted all that time pleasing myself when I could have just did the hard work to get a girl and have sex. See, now you getting so used to your hand, a girl don't even turn you on. You start fantasizing and stuff and thinking about your hand. Like, you see how mind fucking that is? So stop being your junk and just go hella days without doing that. Go find you a girl and you start, not hard. But
The other day, I was talking to Abigail Schreier about the apparent fact that today's teenagers are having much less sex. One person commented that there's the shame that men feel when sex is a spectator sport rather than a participatory act. And then you think, well, the mere fact that you're watching two other people, one of whom isn't you, having sex, instead of having sex, it implies something about your desirability. It's pretty hard to shake that, isn't it? Or your courage. Why is it that you're sitting there alone at night with your laptop on your lap? What the hell's wrong with you? Well, nothing. It's just we should dispense with sexual shame. It's like, no, probably not. That's probably not the answer. Well, it's like Treasure Island in Pinocchio. It's all pleasure with no responsibility. That's deadening. It's parasitical in a sense. And I'm not making a value judgment. I mean, it's no wonder that the young guys are caught up in this because it's an unbelievably powerful technology. It drove the development of the internet, let's not forget, right? So it taps into one viciously primordial motivation. And so these guys are being blasted by what biologists call superstimuli all the time. So imagine that there's a biological stimulus that has an effect on you, and then you can magnify it. And the typical porn actress, not the amateurs, but the professionals, have their sexually provocative physical elements exaggerated. And so men are very visual in terms of their sexual processing. And so the guys are pulled into it, and they're pulled into it also by curiosity. But I think that ethically it's not good. It's not good. It's an easy out. That's the other thing. What you should be doing is going out and finding someone to have a relationship with. But let's say you can't find someone. Well, then you might say that's an indication you should change. It is, in fact, an indication that you should change because what better indication are you going to get than that no one wants to be intimate with you? It's the ultimate rejection, and that's partly why men are terrified of it, and I understand that. And I understand the MGTOW guys, you know, who are recommending that men don't enter into long-term permanent relationships with women. I understand where they're coming from. Well, they're providing a lot of young guys who need a kick to go out there.
Right, they're actually giving them the back door.
They're giving them a rationale, yeah, and I've seen this have very detrimental effects on a number of people already, and partly in my clinical practice, because the young guys who aren't successful, they're looking for a reason why women are terrible, because otherwise they have to think, well, they're just not presentable, which is what they do have to think, because that's almost the definition of presentable. And then the MGTOW guys give them a rationale. You know, we are in a gynocentric world, and females have got control, and they'll, like, wipe you out if they have the opportunity. It's like some females will do that to...
Ad come, y'all.
The best option?
Having options.
Having options.
Having options.
some guys some of the time, and sometimes it's brutal. I've had clients who've been dragged through the court systems and just ruined, and I was unable to help them. I did everything I could to maneuver and negotiate and plan and strategize so carefully to get them to do everything right, and it didn't help. I mean, the court systems can be absolutely brutal to men. It's awful.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So the guys that are taking the easy out on that, so to speak, and disconnecting from having those relationships, in a way it's the same, it's just a different out that porn is replacing for that human connection too.
There's a novelty edge in pornography, like there is in so many quasi-addictive phenomena. Because novelty is a sexual kick, it has to stay novel, and that means that over time it's going to become more extreme. So that's not good. Well, so how do you reset?
So, when you be fantasizing and doing this and that, or you be watching these people on the screen, bro, realize that you is watching two people on the screen. You is spectating two people. You are being your meat to two other people. I'm sorry, bro. If your mind there for though, bro, like just go to OnlyFans, bro. Like I know you spending money on OnlyFans too. You might be watching girl feet. You might be jacking off to that. You never know. Like you gotta understand, bro. That joint is weird, bro. It drains your energy. Like, come on. You can't be doing that, bro. But you start fantasizing and stuff, so now the dopamine in your head getting more and more used to that. Now you need more dopamine, so you start fantasizing more. You didn't went from jacking off one day, now you jacking off 2 times a day. You just killing all your energy. You just, bro, your semen is your energy. Like, that's your energy. And you just taking it away. Stripping them away every day. That's why you be so tired, unmotivated, everything.
Sensitize yourself in some sense. Well, you stop. And then hopefully you recover. And then you deprive yourself of that outlet, let's say. And you might say, well, you know, is that absolutely necessary? And maybe there's nothing wrong with pornography. It's like, well, I don't know, man. Like, have you ever really met a guy who is proud of that? Like, you know what I mean? That makes him feel like, I'm the guy, man. You know, I'm watching pornography and getting off. What a man. I don't believe anyone feels that. And to me, that's an indication that, yeah, we know. No, it's pretty cheap. It's cheap. It's easy. You know, I say that knowing that I believe the research evidence shows that if you introduce pornography into a community, that rates of sexual crime committed by men upon women actually decline. So there is perhaps some utility in the outlet. But, you know, that's a unidimensional analysis and doesn't take into account all the other effects of pornography. So, including the ones you described, and I think that those are real. It makes sense that they're real, you know, because it's super satiation. It's a non-trivial technological problem, you know. It's now possible for young men to look at more beautiful nude women in one day than any man has ever seen, you know, prior to 10 years ago, 20 years ago, that any man in history had ever seen. That's not nothing. That's something. And to think that doesn't do anything to you, it's like, no, that likely does something to you. So don't substitute the false for the real, and don't underestimate the utility of deprivation. What advice would you give to someone looking to quit porn? Well, I gave some advice a little earlier about quitting alcohol, you know, and I would say it isn't that you're trying to quit porn. It's not the right way to think about it. The right way to think about it is that you're trying to figure out how to have a better life. And so you have to figure out, well, I would say do the future authoring program and keep your porn addiction in mind and think. So in the first part of the future authoring program, it asks you a bunch of questions about what your life could be like in 3 to 5 years if you took care of yourself like you were someone that you cared for. Then it asks you questions about your friends and your family and your career and your time outside of work and your health and, you know, the important dimensions of life. And it asks you to spend 20 minutes writing about how good your life could be in 3 to 5 years if you got your act together and did what was good for you. And then it asks you to write about the hell you could be in if you didn't. And so I would say you really need to do that, because porn isn't the issue. The issue is that you're not living your life the way you want to. And so you need a vision of life that's more compelling than the porn, and you need a counter vision too that frightens you, you know, because otherwise porn is obviously extraordinarily gratifying in the short term, but you seem to be suffering from the medium to long term consequences